Good morning, friends. It's Bob again, bringing you another reflection on, we'll call it a Reader's Digest version of the Stations of the Cross. And that is that we're taking some pieces of the Passion narrative and we're reflecting on those this week, this Passion Week, where we remember the price that Jesus paid to rescue us from our own alienation from God. Now, with this, yesterday we talked about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Today, I want to talk with you about Peter disowning Jesus. And as you remember, Jesus actually predicted this, that Peter said, "Hey, I'm going to go with you anywhere. I'll follow you anywhere." And Jesus said, "Actually, you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows." And so and Peter's just like, "No way." And I think Peter's trying to, in his own flesh and his own strength, trying to make what the Lord said not happen. But here's the story, and this is from Luke's gospel. And remember that Luke has said, I'm drawing together a credible account from all the eyewitnesses. And so he has interviewed Mary and he's interviewed Peter time and time again to make sure he got this right, because Luke knows Jesus like you and I know Jesus by faith. He's never met Jesus in person, but he's interviewing all of these eyewitnesses. And so he includes a particular thing, I'm certain, from an interview with Peter, trying to make sure he got this right. And there's an important detail in this that you'll see as we go through the story. Now, I'm reading to you from Luke's gospel in chapter 22 from verse 54 and on. "Then seizing him," that is Jesus, "they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed at a distance. And when some there had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked at him closely and said, 'This man was with him.' But he denied it. 'Woman, I don't know him,' he said. And a little later, someone else saw him and said, 'You are also one of them.' 'Man, I am not,' Peter replied, exclamation point. And about an hour later, another asserted, 'Certainly, this fellow was with him. He is a Galilean.' And Peter replied, 'Man, I don't know what you're talking about.' And just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed." Now, remember that Peter is across the courtyard, the high priest's courtyard, from Jesus, and Jesus has been arrested, and so he's within earshot. And Peter hears it, and it said, and just then, as Peter was speaking, the rooster crowed. So what Jesus said had come to pass, and the Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. So Peter and Jesus's eyes meet. And then Peter remembered that what the word that the Lord had spoken to him: "Before the rooster crows today, you will have denied me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Now, this is part of the experience. And I want you to think about this, not from Peter's point of view, but from Jesus's point of view. Peter is perhaps Jesus's earthly best friend. He is part of the inner circle, Peter, James, and John. He is prominent in all the stories. He is really important now, and he's an open mouth, insert foot type of a person, but he is the guy that Jesus has said, "I'm going to turn the keys over to the kingdom to you. You're going to be the leader of this movement. You're a fisherman, but I'm going to do something with you." And this is a moment where, for Jesus, his best friend disowns him. His best friend. And I think that most of us have lost relationships where people that we thought were close, or actually were really close in our lives, where they did something and it just devastated us. And it makes us really wonder if sometimes, I think for some of us, if friendship is really worth it, because it hurts so badly when you've invested so much in someone and then they turn and they betray you, they disown you, they do something that just really hurts you. And think about this for a moment. This is what Jesus experienced, that his best friend has basically turned his back on him. And he knew this was going to happen. But it doesn't mean that it hurt any less. And Jesus is going on the cross to take your and my sins into his physical body, but he's a human being actually encountering all of the feelings that human beings encounter in these very crushing kinds of things that are happening all in a very condensed way. And his best friend disowns him, and their eyes meet. Now, I think that Peter is devastated, but so is Jesus, that he is hurt badly by Peter disowning him. And this is part of the story of your and my redemption. This is part of how we are made right with God. But this is what the Son of God, God in flesh on, is experiencing on our behalf to come and rescue us. So spend some time today reflecting on that. Judas actually betrayed him. Peter disowns him. These things are devastating, but Jesus says, you've experienced these things, and Jesus has experienced these things, and they're devastating both for the Son of God and for the sons and daughters of God now from what he has done. Let's think about that today and pray and tell the Lord how much you appreciate him and his sacrifice for you and all that entailed. Thanks so much for joining me today. God bless you. I love you.